Okay, we're about to watch something by Tom Billieu, on the Bayou. China just triggered a global bank run on silver. No one is ready for what's next. Now, a lot of stuff that I've been talking about is unfolding in real time in front of our very eyes right now. I'm not trying to be cocky or smart-ass or snide in this whatsoever at all. What I'm trying to do is to grasp hold of your attention. I'm not an attention seeker, but you're not paying attention. Squirrel. Me phone. Squirrel. The stock market is about to collapse. Everything goes to shit this year. I'm telling you now, it all goes to custard. America will not win. China is going to, the BRICS nations is going to take over economically, whether we like it or not. We can beat our chest all we like and holler as loud as we like and whinge and wah and chuck tantrums. We don't win this. There is a way to come out on top. When I say on top of your own game, in a way where you can save your own ass, your family's ass. We can save this country, but we need to walk away from this government. Otherwise, we're going to get sunk. We're going to become China's bitch. America doesn't win this, because America have to travel a long way. This is what they're up to at the moment. They're trying to destroy the BRICS nations, one nation at a time. They do not have the legs for a longevity war, which is why they're trying to make 3-day and 12-day battles. A campaign, if you like. They're trying to make 12-day campaigns, like military campaigns, and they think they're going to be able to do Iran over in a 12-day campaign. Yeah, that's not going to happen because Pakistan will get involved, Russia will get involved, in a way where they won't be directly involved. They will feed the machine through another proxy war, except this is in the Arab nations, not in Ukraine. It's not a country on the doorstep of Russia caught in the middle. This is a nation that Russia has its back, Pakistan has its back. This is the Arab nations. They're not going to fuck around. And Iran, do not underestimate Iran. Do they have nuclear weapons? No, but Pakistan does. All of their supporters do. BRIC nations. We need to fuck this government off, not by fighting it, by walking away from it. We need to find a way to make friends with China, since economically we are China. Like it or not, bitches, bend over. We don't win this if we come head to head with China. We can't do this, but we might be able to do that. Push back a little bit, you know, and okay, we can work together with the BRICS nations. We can trade with the BRICS nations. They're not that staunch in saying you have to trade in the digital yuan or the digital rupee. We can still keep our own currency. We can still keep a physical currency and keep our anonymity and keep our Australian way of life. Hello, puss. Say hello. Hello. Hello, everybody. What are you doing? Off you go. With diplomacy and using our head, but we're going to have to work. Are you ready to work? I mean work. Are you ready to go back to some traditional ways and get rid of the debauchery and the bullshit and the liberalism? The liberalism's got to go. The right wing conservative movement. Both sides have got to go. We need to come back to centre. Centred, grounded, realistic, commonsensical way of life. Work hard and rebuild. We can have industry here again. We can have everything that we desire if we work for it and work with China as an economic partner. Yes, They're going to want some resources that they've already paid for, by the way. We need to piss Pine Gap off out of it. America doesn't win this. America's about to be turned into China's bitch. Like it or not, they're gonna. They don't have the legs. They're gonna exhaust themselves, run out of everything by the time this is over and done with. They've got no hope against Iran. Like I said, that's the Arab nations, and the Arab nations are going to have Iran's back. They're ready. You got Pakistan, you got Russia, you've got China, you've got Korea. They're all going to have Iran's back, and they're all nuclear powers. If we don't walk away from this fucking shit, and that's what it is, it's fucking shit, and come back to centre, get rid of the left, get rid of the right, they're just causing problems. Chainsaw. That's right, that's one of my things that I've got to work on. I have the right to be patient with other people making a noise on their property. I play the drums. That's that one little thing that I struggle with. It would be a different story if I was out there with a saw. I'd have an 066. Yeah. But I will shut the window. Yeah, boys. That's better. As much as I like the sound of the chainsaw ringing and cleaning up the dirty block over the back, kind of a little bit distracting for me. Yes, I do have squirrel issues, but I definitely don't have I'm not that easily distracted. I can focus, but I do get squirrel issues when I have noises because I have severe tinnitus. I'm already blocking out 3 noises full time. I've got two high-pitched rings and a buzz. If I've had them that long, if I didn't have them, I'd go crazy because something's missing. If we do not get on board investing in silver, probably a smart option, but you're going to have to trade in the BRICS, trade with the BRICS nations for that to be worth anything to you. It's about to be a massive rug pull. I'm telling you now. Which means you should probably find a way to hold that silver in your own hands, physically. Because in a wartime economy, the government, there is clauses already in place. They've always been in place. In a wartime economy, anyone with over a certain amount of money in investments, we're taking that for the war efforts. Anyone with over a certain amount of money in the bank, we're taking that for the war efforts. They just do it. There's a lot of silver that goes into artillery and military hardware. They want the silver itself. So if you can hold that and hide it, when we come out of this, and we will come out of it quite quick, I think it'll be a very violent but very quick war. See, America may have a lot of aircraft carriers and a lot of big ships and stuff in their navy. They don't have the hardware to fill it. They don't have the longevity. What they're up to at the moment is trying to build the legs, one tiny little insignificant country at a time that has resources. And they're going to want to come for our uranium and our petroleum basins. And we have some fucking big ones. High sulfur content, the perfect type to make the diesel fuel for their ships and their tanks. But this isn't going to be so much a tank war as a naval war. Now, the United States isn't very good at naval war anyway. They have a huge naval fleet. China's not so great at it either. Okay, let's go back to World War II. What did America do? Fuck all. They've done a bit of jungle warfare, haven't done it for years. They've been running around with the fucking sand monkeys and rock apes. with all of their financial backing, struggling against men in sandals. They don't have the resources for a longevity war. So really all China and everyone has to do is hunker down long enough until they run out of shit, and then they can just come up, punch them in the nose twice, face in the nose twice, break it, knock them out, fight's over. If they can cover up long enough until the big boys are worn out and run out of legs, bang, bang, it's all out. Lights out. Good night, Irene. Now, we're going to be piggies in the middle if we're not careful, just like Ukraine. Iran, not so much. People are underestimating Iran because they're quiet. It's the quiet ones you've got to watch, remember. That's 10 minutes of me rambling. Like I say, come back on that. Do you know how to use those properly? I'm not talking about fighting. Can you build? Can you repair? Are you going to be able to rebuild once it's all over and done with? Are you going to be able to negotiate? You're not going to have to need to speak Mandarin. I'm quite sure that there'll be plenty of English-speaking Chinese people and BRICS nations people. You see, the amount of kill-switch engages that China has, also, people aren't thinking about that. America's trying to switch off the kill-switch engages by taking over the countries that China owns, their ports, major infrastructure, bridges. This is all about logistics of world commerce and trade. This is why they want the Panama Canal back. They don't have control of the trade routes anymore. Do you think China's just going to lay down and let that happen? Panama Canal is a bottleneck. All these trade routes are bottlenecks. They're going to wait till America comes into it and then blah. Welcome to my parlour, said the spider to the fly. Anyone with any military nous that knows war tactic, military tactic, battle tactic, longevity of war tactic, of, look, let's pretend that we're big over here when there's fuck all. Let's make cardboard cutouts of cities. Let's make cities with nobody in them that are actually just full of drones and stuff. So when they come in, they just swarm, drone swarms. Let's hide all of our resources underneath a city that's got nobody in it. How many of those are there in China? No one's even going to know where to go and attack. What are they going to go and attack? Drones? Cardboard cutouts? Do you really think that China has the population they say they have? Not at all. Do you really think that there's people in certain areas being taken advantage of? I used to think that too, and now I'm looking at the proper, the real. I've got my granddad running around in here now, thinking about this logically from an intelligence perspective. When I say intelligence, like human resources intelligence, you know. Hardware, software, militarily planned executions, like how they execute a campaign or an invasion or an occupation. We better get our shit together real quick. Now we'll watch this.
The entire financial system is in trouble, and the recent spike in the silver price has exposed it all. In the West, silver is treated as something you move around on a screen, but not something that actually matters. But it does matter, given that it's going to be required more and more as we create a world deeply integrated with AI, robotics, and other advanced technologies. And China understands that, even if no one else does. Unlike gold, which is primarily used as a store of wealth, silver's value is driven primarily by industrial use. Treating it first and foremost as a paper asset only works in a world where...
There was the key words, in an industrial use.
Everyone gets along and everything is smooth, globalized, and stable, but that world did exist and it was awesome, but it's dead now, and we have to accept that and adapt accordingly. The price of silver used to be set by traders, but now China is showing that the future price is going to be set by those who use and control the physical flow of silver. This is a massive paradigm shift that points towards something far bigger than the price of silver, which I'm going to explain shortly, but for it all to make sense, we have to build the argument one brick at a time.
Nice choice of words, one brick at a time. Now, come back to me. Feed me, Seymour. Donald Trump does not understand this, I'm telling you now. Well, he kind of does. He has people around him that understand this. He has Larry Ellison, Elon Musk. He has, the Zuckerbergs, the Gateses. He's surrounded himself by all the people that he said he was going to get rid of. Who do you think actually built all of China's surveillance systems and security? It's the same guy that's done Israel's and the 9 levels deep data centre in Jerusalem, and there's a second one being built, and they are capable of withstanding missile strikes, but I don't know whether they're capable of withstanding a nuclear strike. And you watch Pakistan. Yeah, we know you got something 9 levels deep down there, and you watch this. But wham! Oh, Russia, we need another nuke. Tactical nukes. Okay? Not the traditional old fucking atom bombs. I'm talking tactical nukes. Minimum damage, maximum penetration. Right of God. Yeah, right of God exists. I say it don't, but it does. And I think you'll find Russia has it. What you think that ship was up in space, they say. I don't think it's in space. I think it's a lot lower than they say when Russia destroyed a satellite in front of somebody else's satellite. Short memories we have. Like I say, can you build stuff? There is a way of negotiating our way out of this. There really is, considering China already owns us. We need to piss this government off, clean off out of it. And then what do we do? Perhaps we and China have our way with Pine Gap, considering it's in our country. Ha! That sounds like treason. No, it's not. It's the opposite to treason. Allowing Pine Gap to be there in the first place is treason. But it's in a territory, not a state. Yeah? So we bring the territories down and bring them back in line with the states. That becomes our land again. You can keep the port of Darwin, China. You can keep that, but we don't want your AI tech and stuff taking over anything. We're happy to do the work. We're happy to do the work, and we're happy to trade with you economically, as long as we can keep our national sovereignty. Otherwise, everything you send here, we're just going to keep smashing it up. But we don't want to do that. Just don't send the stuff here. Let us do the work. Pay us well. Look after us. We'll look after you. We'll share the resources. We don't have to be enemies with them just because the government says they're enemies. I mean, crikeys, we've got a CCP plant in our government, Penny Wong. It's enough of me rambling. We'll get back to this.
First, you have to understand that the world order is changing rapidly, and if you fail to update your investing strategy accordingly, you are going to get run over. When inflation and stagnant wages force you to invest rather than save your money, you've got to constantly assess changing macro conditions, and the fact that everyone got caught off guard by the silver move shows that there's one massive macro factor that people are blind to. The stable global order that allowed the world to think of investing and economics in terms of financial instruments instead of manufacturing and use cases is beginning to unwind, and it's putting the dollar at risk. That's why both Dalio and Buffett are sounding the alarm as loudly as they can about America and the state of the dollar. Let's go through it. Here is the uncomfortable question everyone needs to ask, but is largely being ignored. As the economic battle between the US and China reaches a fever pitch over the next few years, how stable is the dollar status as the world's reserve currency? What just happened to silver provides insights into that fundamental question. Here are the facts. On January 1st of 2026, China officially put a new export control regime on silver into effect, requiring government licenses for most shipments out of the country, effectively putting state control over roughly 60 to 70% of the entire world's refined silver supply. And restricting exports to a small list of approved firms puts everyone in their grip. This sharpened export squeeze collided with an already persistent physical supply deficit, driving silver prices to record highs, approaching nearly $100 per ounce, and igniting volatility because the metal is both a critical industrial input and is now treated as a strategic resource by China. To understand why the silver market is currently in a state of shock, you have to look at the massive disconnect between what people trade on their screens and what actually exists in the real world. For decades, we've treated silver as a financial abstraction, a line on a chart used to hedge against inflation or speculate on price swings. You have to understand this mentality. This led to a level of paper leverage that is almost impossible to wrap your head around and is indicative of how the entire West approaches investing itself. As of early January 2026, the paper to physical silver ratio exploded to an estimated 356 to 1. That means for every 1 single ounce of physical silver sitting in a vault in London or New York, there are 356 paper claims, futures, options, ETFs claiming ownership on that same ounce. That's insane. How did it happen? People hate it when I say this, but the stock market is really just a sophisticated casino that allows people to bet on things of value, because traders stopped thinking about most things, including silver, as an actual physical asset that is used for something tangible, and instead just started treating the entire world as a purely digital asset. The market got way out over its skis. In a stable, globalized world, this worked. Most traders never actually want the metal. They just want to settle their bets in cash. Banks and exchanges realized they could sell far more paper silver than they actually held because everyone assumed the supply was guaranteed and the global order was stable. Ever heard of a bank run? This is the trader equivalent. No one cares what your bank does with your money as long as it's there for you when you need it. So banks lend out way more money than they actually have. It's called fractional reserve banking, and usually it's fine. Most people don't want their money in any one given moment. They want it in the bank earning interest. But in those rare moments, when everyone wants their money at the same time, banks collapse and the perpetual Ponzi scheme is exposed.
Go back to the 2008 GFC, global financial crisis. What happened in Greece? They had bank runs. Banks ran out of money. And over half of Greece's population lost everything. Well, the same's about to happen with silver. You put all your money into silver shiny rocks, but if they're not in your hand, you don't own it. If you can't hold it, it ain't yours. I've been saying this all along. Can you eat it? No. Can you fix anything with it? Unless you're one of the tech bros? No. Can you put a roof over your kids' heads with it? Unless you hold it? No. Because you won't hold it after you put the roof over your kids' heads, because you're going to have to trade it to somebody. How do you get it? Can you use these? Investing all your money into things you can't eat at the moment is a fool's errand. You're going to be able to get as much of it as you like if you know how to upskill, if you know how to do things worth doing that are old school. In order for the digital world to exist somewhere else, the analog world has to exist somewhere as well. I'm as analog as you get. Can you farm? Can you weld? Can you paint? Why is painting important? Well, there's some things that robots just can't do in certain places in order to minimise or negate corrosion on certain things that are going to need it. Think about all the petroleum basins that we have around the place. They're going to need to be tapped out in the middle of the ocean or off the coast of King Island, where Marinus Link is going. Centrelink's going bye-byes. Which means you're going to have to find an alternative way to keep the roof over your head, especially if you're a renter, especially if you're in socialist housing, especially in a country that is economically dependent on China, like a baby is dependent on its mum's tit, but dependent on the United States militarily, and the United States militarily does not have the legs for a longevity of war. They might have shock and awe and short campaigns, but they do not have longevity. And we've got fucking nothing. We've got slingshots, sticks and rocks. That would be like Christopher Columbus all over again in the Americas. It'd be like the Redcoats and the Aboriginals 2.0. Except now we're the indigenous. So, all you Aboriginal community people, pull your head out of your fucking ass. And all you white people that want to argue with the Aboriginal people, pull your head out of your fucking ass. We're all just Australians now, and we're going to need each other to survive this. Okay, stop squabbling over dumb shit. Stop playing whack-a-mole with things that don't matter. They actually don't matter. As much as you think they matter, as much as it appears to matter, and as much as it is making instant changes to our lives, like our guns getting taken off us. It doesn't really matter in the macro. It matters in the micro. It might matter to you. Oh, they took something from you. Yeah, they did. They stole from you. Fucking whack. They stole from me too. But when one's put in your hand, which direction are you going to point it? Are you going to shoot yourself in the foot? Or are you going to refuse to shoot somebody who's just as innocent as you are? We are at a crossroads globally where we as the people, we the people, need to choose what side of history that we're going to be on, because the government, they've already chosen a side and it ain't the right one, and they don't care what happens to us in the process as long as they get to hide and wait it out in their bunkers in New Zealand. I told you, I've been watching this game. I've been watching this, and I've been in this game my entire fucking life. I don't know everything. No, God. I'd be in a straitjacket if I did, I reckon. I don't know. Where is your card? Did you lose your card, Daniel? Playing some games. Mad Max, I think. Now, here's an example. My daughter's teenager. Amazing. She actually has the mathematical blackboard in the sky. Smart ass bitch. She's great with English literature because I read the right books to her when she was little. I've always encouraged her to go step outside of her comfort zone with reading. Always read books that are a little bit beyond you with one of those nearby. I don't have the world's greatest vocabulary. I don't need big, long, complicated words sometimes because I like for people to know what I'm talking about. But I also like to know, comprehend, and so I can be either withstanding or not withstanding with what I'm reading and what I'm hearing. I don't just agree to something because it sounded good. We'll watch a few more minutes of this. I'm not going to watch it all. We don't need to. Because like any video, even this one, all the ones I do, you could probably get everything you need out of it within the first half of it. And the rest of it's just the icing on the cake, you know. You need the meat and potatoes. Not the floral design on the plate.
What just happened with silver is kind of like a bank run. By locking the supply down, China exposed the illusion of silver's guaranteed supply, and now, to paraphrase Buffett, the tide has gone out, and we can see that basically everyone is skinny dipping all the time. When China restricted 60 to 70% of the world's refined silver exports, they didn't just create a new method of price discovery, they broke the confidence of the entire silver paper market. If even 1% of those 356 paper owners suddenly decided they actually need the physical metal for their semiconductor factories or solar plants, the entire exchange collapses. There isn't enough silver in the world. There isn't enough silver in the world to satisfy those paper claims. This is why you're seeing the price scream towards $100. It's the sound of the paper market realizing it is holding a bag of ghosts while China holds the actual metal. This brings us back to our central question, the staggering vulnerability of the US dollar. How bad is it? The silver crisis has revealed a fundamental flaw.
Also brings us to another harsh reality. I'm going to see if I can find it for you. Just give me a sec. Go to my Google. As of early January 2026, you're going to love this one, following the removal of Nicolás Maduro in Venezuela, it was discovered that only 3 metric tons of silver remained in the Central Bank of Venezuela, despite an estimated strategic reserve of 850 metric tons as of December 2024. The massive discrepancy raised questions regarding the whereabouts of the rest of the silver. Do you want to know where it went? Who was there at the time? But there's no bodies of them. There's no recording of anything happening. China's not pissed off about it. So they obviously didn't get them. There was Chinese delegates there collecting a debt. Obviously China got out with the debt. So let's subtract 850, let's subtract 3 metric tons of silver from 850 metric tons of silver. That's 700, 800, bloody hell, that's 847 metric tons of silver. America ain't got it. Otherwise they wouldn't have this problem. Venezuela owed money to China. A lot of it. Why? Bait and switch politics, bait and switch warfare, bait and switch investment through the Belt and Road Initiative. America did not liberate Venezuela. America went there to try and steal the silver. Didn't get it. At least we got the oil. You starting to see it now? America's just a bunch of fucking pirates.
In the entire American strategy, we act like the dollar status as the world's reserve currency is a law of nature, when in fact, it is an increasingly fragile system based solely on trust. Just as the West treated silver as a paper asset that represented a real-world asset that would always be available, and got insanely overextended via a ratio of 356 paper claims to every actual ounce of physical silver, the US treats the dollar like its status as the world's reserve currency is a permanent guarantee and has gotten itself insanely overextended via debt. When one move by the Chinese highlights that paper backed by nothing is nothing, imagine what happens to the dollar over time as the illusion of paper bets as safe bets permanently vanishes. The dollar is the ultimate paper asset with zero physical backing. It's not backed by anything other than the US government says it's valuable. In no uncertain terms, it is a confidence game. As long as people believe that America will continue to be the most dominant military and economy on planet Earth, you can tax the world via inflation because they're all going to hold those dollars. But if people realize that America is on shaky economic ground and at $38.5 trillion in debt, it is certainly that, people will increasingly look for alternatives. And that's why the percentage of global commerce settled in dollars has dropped from over 70% in the late 1990s to the high 50s today. Confidence is America's primary export. But that confidence is waning. We print pieces of paper that we call dollars, and in exchange, the rest of the world gives us things like their oil, their electronics, and their silver. But that only works as long as the world believes those pieces of paper will hold their value compared to the actual underlying asset. That confidence has been under direct attack by China for a while now, and it's starting to work. China is forcing a global pivot away from Western financial abstractions and back towards physical reality. If that forces the world to update their mental model away from paper assets as safe assets and into an obsession with what the paper asset is actually tied to, it will hasten the decline of the dollar. It's not going to happen overnight, but it is going to happen. Right now, the US is already hyper-leveraged, carrying the aforementioned $38.5 trillion, and that's just in national debt. It's not to mention corporate and personal debt, which are gigantic in their own rights. That debt forces America to tax the world via inflation, aka money printing. Silver and the crazy price moves that we just saw show how quickly things can move when people update their mental models away from financialization to actual reality. Remember, we live in a physical world where electrons still rule the day. This is exactly why Ray Dalio is warning about financial heart attacks and why Warren Buffett has retreated to a record $380 billion in his cash pile. They see the end of the paper era and the return of pure power politics. We'll get back to the show in just a second, but first,
I'm just going to leave it there. Why? Need I say more? Need he say more? Like I say, China actually has no problem with people remaining sovereign in their own right in their own country. They have no problem with that. Don't believe the hype. There is nothing moral about Western imperialistic colonisation. It's just what it is. We are a colony. Nobody wants to refer to Australia as a colony anymore. Why? Because it admits that we colonised the place. It's an admittance that we are a colony of the British Commonwealth. We get rid of these territories, come back to a nation of states, and we just become the Australian Republic. Yeah, I'm quite happy to go to that. We learn to stand on our own feet, so the wheat's going to have to separate itself from the chaff. Actual criminals are going to have to be dealt with properly. Police are going to have to start doing their job right and leave people alone that are just having a hard time or whatever. That are, let people sort themselves out. The wheat will separate itself from the chaff under the millstone. We've got everything upside down. Ass about face backwards. Why? Because you're listening to the fucking gronks on the news. You're reading the paper. You believe in the fucking bullshit that Sean Ford puts in there. You think the council is actually representing you. No, they're hoodwinking you. The council has never been a third tier government. We voted no twice. So they couldn't install it federally, so they snuck it back, they backdoored it, they snuck it through the state parliaments, and slowly over time just gave them a little bit more power, and they privatised this and they privatised that, and they moved the responsibility of what used to be council into private things like feral cats and stuff. They created Biosecurity Tasmania, for example, who it's a toothless tiger with no money. It does nothing. It actually does absolutely nothing other than pay themselves money to shovel bits of paper around in circles, because at the end of the day, quarantine is biosecurity. If it doesn't come into the state, then we've got no problem. You see, what Biosecurity Tasmania should be doing is, and the EPA should be doing, is getting on top of all this gun bullshit, because now we've got an imbalance out in our natural flora and fauna with roo and wallaby mobs overrunning the wombat territories and their sanctuaries and leaving them with nothing to eat, and it's creating a massive ecological imbalance. That's a severe biosecurity issue. Crops are getting decimated. And there's nobody out there doing vermin control, which means they're bringing back poisons like 1080. Which is, killing animals that are being eaten by Tasmanian devils and the other scavengers, that can't end well. Birds, crows and so forth, poisoned animals dropping into our water reserves. Gee, I wonder what the microbial and bacterial issue is in the ocean out here that's causing the council to have to put signs up to tell people they can't swim there. See, we need to get away from all this bullshit. They need to just go away. Stop fighting them. You're never going to win. We need to take control of our country back and be friends with China. Paul Keating sold us out to China, so it is what it is. You can't go back to the 80s and 90s and undo all that damage. It's not going to... It's just not doable. It's not realistic. It's not sustainable. So we can beat the battery. We can supply China with a whole bunch of shit. And we can let them bring some industry here to build our employment. Which means we bring back some coal power stations, some nuclear power. Bam! We've got cheap energy again. We've got industry. We have employment. People are doing good things with their hands instead of bad things. We get to keep our uranium that way. We let them have some. We let them have some coal. But a lot of their stuff can be brought here. Coal's not bad. Like, do you really think that Chernobyl is as bad as they say it is? Everything else that lives there, like, it's over and done with. It's doing all right. We just fed a story saying that it's really bad, but, you know, like, think about all the wildlife that comes in and out of the area that can't be policed. It can't be... They haven't got crazy fucking three-headed bears running around in Ukraine. We're going to have to be smarter than what we have been. Walk away. #walk away, people.